To London.
Pretty
They
good.
took the train.
I'll go with it.
From
And
they're taking the London,
train to Glasgow.
2 hours.
That's what they're doing.
That's, yeah.
Oh, no, they're doing the train when they get to Dublin.
We're good, we're online? Audio?
Oh, my
All right.
gosh.
Because he's here. We missed you last week.
Exactly.
But they all did great.
Yeah.
Tried our best.
Right. Where's my agenda?
She
Oh, you
printed
got
it.
Okay, you got it.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and call this meeting to order. With the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There's Teresa, she made it.
All right, 1.3 agenda adjustment, we don't have any for this evening. 2, public comment. We invite the public to come up to the table to speak if you have any comments regarding our special budget meeting this evening.
This table.
Yes.
Yep, this table, sir.
Okay.
And we ask that you state your name and the town that you reside in.
Yeah, my name is William Leonard. I'm from Litchfield, 30 Kenway Drive in Litchfield. And it's a little bit of dirt road, you know. I'm here, I'm not a news junkie, but I pay attention. And it seems that the current presidential administration has become a little peeved at our governor over an issue that might result in a delay or an outright withdrawal of a lot of the funding that Maine requires for its secondary and primary education. I understand that's about 10% of the total ticket, at least in most states it is. You know, it's an interesting fact that of all the 50 states in the Union, Maine's property tax burden is #1. More than California, more than New Jersey, more than New York, more than anybody. Mainers spend more property tax per capita than and per dollar of value than anybody else. And it's not like we're a rich state. We're in the low middle of the pack. Why am I here? I'm here because you guys are going to vote on a budget. And those numbers do not take into consideration, I don't believe, the fact that a whole bunch of the funding on which you require is may not be here. So as I spoke to your chairperson and I suggested that maybe we need some more public comment before we take this thing to the voters. Because otherwise I think that the voters might get a little peeved that what's going on in Washington and Augusta was not taken into consideration in coming up with this number. And it greatly increases the chances of a big fat no for you guys at the polls. No one likes that. So it was all I'm here saying, let's open it up for public comment. Maybe nobody cares. And no one will come. But at least give us a chance, you know, to comment and to find some information first on what this is likely to mean. I mean, this lawsuit's almost 12 hours old. So we don't know what's going to happen. So that's my whole point for being here. Let's get some facts before we charge off down the road and take this thing to the voters. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any other public comment this evening? Okay, seeing none. We will move on to our old business. Are we doing 3.1 first, Kate?
Yeah, because you're
Do you have my
gonna,
amount?
we've got the slide for the amount. John, can you put up slide number 2, please? Yeah, thanks. Oh, yeah, he's going. So what we're gonna do is the slide that you know is the 2.97%. Yeah. Just so you have the amount and where.
Yeah, once we get that up there, I'll read the motion.
This might be Scott. Mark, yeah, it's Scott. Okay. Welcome, Scott.
Hi, Scott. Okay. So 3.1, to approve the 2025-2026 budget in the amount of $23,310,071.
So moved.
$1,071, excuse me.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Do we want to have any more discussion regarding our slide and the numbers that we've arrived at over the past 5-6 months or so?
No, but just a reminder to the public to plan to come to the public budget meeting on May 14th to be able to voice any concerns you have about what the school board has put together for a budget.
Sorry I was late, but 2.97 is the
Yes.
percentage we're at? Okay.
Yeah.
So what happened with the three? I forgot the amount.
3.17, I think, or 3.07 it was 2 weeks ago.
Mm.
Or 3 weeks ago, and then or less.
So,
We sent Katie back with some charge to at least reduce it to 3. And what she returned with was 2.9.
Okay, but then last week we
7.
discussed putting it back up with the capital improvement plan involved, right? That's what caused it to go back up?
right, but then what I took back from that was a consensus that, or maybe it wasn't consensus that we would let on May 14th folks determine whether they would do a capital
Gotcha.
improvement.
That's correct.
So that's why I only put that one there.
Okay.
Because that's what I kind of heard is, you know, let's see what the public wants. And I added that question because I think there was concern around, we want the public to know what that money is going to be earmarked for. So that's why you notice in the question around it, I put it specific there because I think people wanted to say to the public, we're not just going to use it for anything. It's supposed to go for this. So I tried to listen to different perspectives.
Go ahead, Teresa.
You know, it says 2.97, and when we have our public meeting hearing, I believe there might be some people, at least from Litchfield, who will say that for them, it'll be an 8%-ish increase over last year. And I think it could be helpful for us if ahead of time that was explained to us, so we would know if it was brought up.
Yeah, so then go to the next slide, John, please. Go to myself. Or maybe I can control it too. So what they're talking about is the overall increase to taxes, and as we've explained, is around the evaluations of the 3 towns continue to rise. And so even though the state allocation was more, as we know, their burden is more on the local required to be raised. And then there was, so the state funds are less. The allocation is more, but the state dollars would be less because there's more on the towns with the required local. So that was that increase, and then of course the increase with the local. So you're right, Teresa, when they say that, they're right, the taxes are different than the bottom line, yes.
I just want us to be prepared if someone comes to the microphone and
That's good
says
to
that.
know, yeah.
I think the other important
I'll
talking
make
point.
notes of like what to put in for slides.
Yeah.
So I think that's what you're getting at, is like, be prepared with a slide on that. Okay,
This is just a portion of their taxes.
right,
It isn't the entire increase. So the school budget increase is the 2.97, and
Right.
then each town is determining the rest of this.
Right, the 2.97 is the increase of the budget from last year's school
Correct,
budget
yes.
amount. Not really
Not-
anything having to do with the
Their
tax
taxes.
percentage increase.
Correct.
So the $150,000 that we were talking about last week for the repairs for the windows and such, that is left out?
Correct. So we took $550,000 of the unfunded balance to bring taxes down.
Right.
Right, so it's not gonna be exactly apples to apples, right? Because we have revenue over here that we reduce, so those taxes take into account the other revenue, like the unfunded balance, the state funds, the main care, like we have certain buckets that we put for revenue that reduce it. So if we didn't have those, then yes, the taxes would be higher. So we did take $550,000 to put towards reducing.
Sure.
So that 150, where is that sitting right now? Because the total fund balance before that was 700,000, right? Or,
You mean, what did we do last year?
No.
Oh, okay, sorry.
sorry, I mean to
No, that's all right.
jump at you like that.
No, you didn't, I'm fine. You're good, you're good.
So we're talking about using the 150 from the fund balance, putting that towards the capital improvement plan.
Correct.
We've left that out until the high school meeting, the public budget meeting.
Correct.
That 150 with the 550 was left over, so there was 700,000 total in the
Right.
fund
No,
balance?
there's more than that, because
More than
remember, you can carry up to 9%.
Yep,
It used to be 3%, then it went to 5%, and now it's at 9% that districts can carry forward. So we're not there. So we have, Sam, do you know the amount we were last audited? 1.3 million.
okay.
So, you're right, that's why we only asked for 150,000 at this point, because we're not at the end of the year yet. And remember, I kind of cautioned people, the more fund balance you use, the more we're used to having 550,000. So next year, we have to have the 550,000, if not, you're gonna raise the taxes. So,
So
it's like-
I guess my question is,
Yeah,
in postponing the improvement plan,
yeah.
where is that that just goes back into the 1.3 bucket?
there.
Correct, exactly,
Okay.
exactly.
So I guess my next question is 550 from 1.3, what is that leftover doing?
Okay, so if you take the 1.3, well, remember, we have 1.3 right now,
Yeah.
right? And then you back out the 750,000.
Yep,
So now we're at 600,000.
yep,
That's before the end of this year.
Mhm.
So we'll probably be back up again, right?
Okay.
Because you want to carry a certain amount of fund balance for emergency type
Right.
stuff. It's almost what the gentleman's talking about. You know, the things that when there might be a crisis or a thing, you can then move forward and ask for fund balance to be reallocated again. It would take votes and stuff like that, obviously, but that's why districts carry fund balance. So it would just roll. Right, so at the town meeting, I think that's what you're getting at. At the town meeting, if they don't approve the capital improvement fund, that 150 will go to the undesignated fund.
okay.
You can't reduce the budget on it. Correct, right.
So what are we voting on? Like what,
The bottom number right now.
which proposal are we bringing to the public meeting?
Oops, oh, can you go back up,
With or
John?
without?
Without a fund balance,
Without
without
the
a
capital.
capital plan, but with an SRO,
Okay,
Yeah,
correct?
yes, that's the
Yes.
SRO in it, yeah.
so what's the plan for the repairs in that case?
So we probably would have to do a similar thing to do what we did this year, right? We're doing the carpeting. So we probably would have to wait as you get closer, like the finance and facility, you'd have to, okay, where's our funds right now? And probably wouldn't do anything like we're doing this year till the end of June. Do we have 150,000 that hasn't been allocated and so forth that we want to put towards that, or hasn't been done, right? Like,
So-
what positions might be open? What happens that creates fund balance is positions not being filled, right? A lot of times it's that.
We get a grant or something.
Hey, we get a grant. This year, like the SRO, we didn't have an SRO, so we have funds there, right, that are gonna help us with the SPS move. It's not gonna cost the taxpayers more. We're taking money already to help make that move. So that's a really good example of that. So, right, in here, you don't have that, you'd have to watch your funding.
So the whole point of asking for this is so that we're not waiting until the end of June.
Correct.
To approve these projects so that they're ready for fall semester.
Yeah, because you gotta get it done by June 30th, which is why we've been talking to contractors and stuff and getting them ready to make sure we can be ready to go.
Is there no limit on this amount that we have carried over that can be applied to certain cost centers? I guess I'm a little lost there. I mean,
What do you mean?
well, you're wanting to potentially use $150,000 for these projects that need to be done. So what if it comes in higher and it's 200,000? Like what?
That's-
Who's making the decision as to what the amount that's spent? Who releases that? You?
The superintendent, we've come to the finance and facilities a lot with these things. Like, okay, this is what we're thinking, this is what we have for funding that these didn't get done, right?
Yeah.
So it's been a lot through the finance and facilities. A lot of that discussion has gone on, and then Doug has reported out, this is what we talked about. But yes, part of is sitting down and saying, okay, where are we? You know, like next year, if something does happen, we may have to go into a freeze.
Is the committee not then obligated to bring that to the board for approval? I mean, I've never sat on the finance committee, so I don't know, but like in the policy committee, we review policies, make some decisions, then bring it to the board to vote on as a whole, so.
Yeah. Some of our policies say it's the finance and facility committee. Yeah.
But there is no dollar amount for that, I guess.
Well, it's-
Like, I would
yeah.
clearly be comfortable if the policy committee wanted to spend,
Right.
$20,000 for something that needed to be done.
Yeah.
But I don't know, you're getting pretty close, $150,000 is a pretty good chunk of change, so.
Yeah. Well, and we may not have it, the flooring isn't $150,000.
Mhm.
I mean, you rely on your business manager who's forecasting every month what's available, what's not available. So it's her job to say, okay, here's where we stand. She's looking at all the reviewing, she's meeting with her directors. And then she's saying, okay, here's something that we've been talking a lot that has to get done. Is this feasible? And then going to the finance committee and saying, here's what, it's like the capital improvement plan. Usually that's what's driving a lot of the decision around. Or something's come up in constant discussion. Because what did I say last meeting? You're making us do a budget a year in advance. So we're just predicting as best we can what needs to be done. But that doesn't mean things don't come up. Things don't happen, then we have to check and adjust. That's what's hard about this. I mean, we start the budget November, December with staff. And then they come to us and say, oh, we really need this. It's like, well, we didn't budget for that. So we tell them start making a list for next year. So that's what's hard about all
I
of
understand.
this.
I'm
Yeah.
just kind
Yeah,
of
you're
concerned
just
about
talking about it,
the
yeah.
lack of checks and balances
Yeah.
and spend, that's
Yeah.
all.
But if we have a capital improvement plan.
Exactly.
That will need to come to us so we can approve
Yeah.
it.
The fund, capital improvement fund,
The
yes.
fund, but
For the
we're,
fund, definitely.
and what we're gonna decide needs to be done.
Exactly.
We're gonna be in charge of that.
And the finance facilities knows the capital improvement plan, it's on our website. So, yeah, yeah. It's all a good question.
Go ahead, Teresa.
During one of our budget workshops, you had presented a slide that showed us what federal funds we receive and what we apply them to.
Yep.
Is that something that will be presented at the hearing?
I can add that. Like, here's some buckets, different buckets, yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. Which is probably the biggest fund we're worried about.
Yeah.
Right, that's the one that we're really thinking, we gotta have plan A, plan B, plan C. That's our jobs, for you guys is be thinking Plan A, Plan B, Plan C all the time. And those don't all come to the board, our Plan A, Plan B, Plan C, because that's why you hired us. And so that's, believe me, we're thinking about all that all the time. Yep. Every position that opens is a discussion.
Anybody else?
Yes, to address the public comment a little more directly, we can't plan, we have to plan for what we're dealing with at this current moment as far as budget expectations. But just to address that comment is, if funding were to get cut in some major way, we would just have to have meetings to discuss how we're gonna move forward, right?
Exactly.
Correct,
Yeah.
that it wouldn't go, it's not unnoticed but we can't plan preemptively for a significant cut in a budget, because then if that cut never happens, we're not in a position, right? That's why we have to kind of move through with what we have. And there is plenty of public comment, as Christie mentioned, at the May 15th? 14th, May 14th, so the word can definitely be spread, and they can bring up anything and everything that they want at that meeting as well,
Absolutely.
at the high school.
Right, they can add $1 million to each cost center, they can take $20 million away, right?
And then we don't open.
And that's really, that's really what it boils down to.
Yeah.
We would not have enough money to pay teachers or run buildings, if it was dropped down. I mean, I don't think that
No.
didn't happen that way, but we don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah, we have to work with what we do know right this moment
Yeah.
in time.
Right.
Katie mentioned last week that if the people's veto gets signed, right, and the government shuts down, we don't get any funds.
Yeah.
Never mind the federal
Right.
issue that's going on right now. This is the main funds as well. And then we have to figure out how we're going to pay our teachers, how we're gonna open school and start with what we have. Maybe another reason why we don't wanna move that 150 just yet, but they could decide at that meeting, move that 150. Or increase the budget 150
Right, exactly.
for that fund instead of moving it.
It's a lot of moving pieces. I mean, we have our association, just like your main school board associations. We're getting constant updates. Our last update was take a deep breath. This is gonna be a little bumpy, but we're gonna get through it. And, I have another meeting again tomorrow. So there's things going on because there's stuff in the media and then there's stuff behind the scenes. And so you just have to take everything and try to work it through.
All right. Any other discussion on this budget amount motion?
I just heard somebody mention that they're gonna decide on the 150,000, so again, what are we bringing forward? Is it that slide right there?
They can decide. I mean, if they've been watching these,
We're offering that up as an option.
they can. They can come to the podium and say, we wanna put $200,000 in the capital improvement fund, right? We've been tossing around 150, but they could say
Are we
that.
informing them of this option or no?
I mean,
3.3.
It's what you're recommending, Scott.
Yeah, that's 3.3.
Tonight is, what is the board recommending for an
Yeah,
approval?
so that's what I'm asking. Are we bringing a 3.3 or are we bringing the slide that I'm seeing here at 2.97?
3.3 is the agenda item that people are referencing regarding the capital improvement fund.
Yeah.
I was asked to be more specific with that question on 3.3 is to identify what the capital improvement funds would go to. So it was crystal clear to the public that this is a high need. We need to invest in our facilities. And what are you investing in? So it's right here in the minutes that the board has already earmarked those funds. I think what Nicole's
So where's
trying to say is
Article
what
18?
ifs, there's a lot of what ifs.
So this references Article 18.
Yes, it's Article 18,
What are we presenting in Article 18? I think is-
$150,000. It's this, John, if you go to slide number 5, please.
But that 150,000 that we're presenting is from the fund balance.
Correct.
Not from increasing the budget.
I see.
So this is the one, remember this, you're gonna establish it, you're gonna improve it, you know, what are you using it for? And then you specifically say it, so when I have the slide for Article 18 will have the wording, right? And it will have that the board has approved on today's date,
Creation of.
the earmarked it for this. So I'll specifically say that, so people understand it's not a slush fund, it's already been earmarked for a project.
Just clarifying, for the capital improvement fund, we're voting, when we vote for the 2.97% portion of this, the 3.2 on the,
3.1.
3.1, sorry.
Yep.
That 3.1 is without the capital improvement fund.
Correct.
Okay,
All right,
so
well,
then we move on to 3.
Two things. Number one, you're approving the expenditure amount,
Right,
expenditure amount.
right.
Article 3.2 is all the articles.
Yeah.
Within that is Article 18,
Okay,
which
in
is to
3.2.
establish the, yes.
Okay. At
Just
zero-
like your food service one is in there, your adult ed one is in there, you know, the budget booklet,
Yes,
which is
we're-
already being prepared, will go out with all that information.
So we're essentially approving the article at $0, and we're presenting to the public, this is what we'd like.
No, the article will say 150.
Okay.
Article 18 will say $150,000.
But it's not impacting the previous.
Correct.
because it's
There you
coming
go.
from
Yes,
Fund balance.
Right.
correct, there you have
Which
it.
is exactly.
They
what
don't
I
have to
recommended
raise the
last time.
150, we already have the.
I'm just, yeah, I'm making sure I have the steps, yeah.
Yeah,
So they could take it out at that point, say we
Yeah.
wanna,
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, they
Correct.
can vote and say $0.
Or change it.
Or
or
change
change
it.
it to more.
Or
Yep.
less.
or less.
Or 1.3 million.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, we have to keep, no, we don't have,
Well,
Our
no,
minimum's
we're taking
9%.
550 to reduce the,
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah. They can't do the 1.3 because we have to maintain the 9, but.
Will that already be
We
in
don't have to
there?
make
Will
that
it
nine.
show in there that that you've taken out the
Was that
5
the
points?
Yeah.
Which is 90.
Yeah, we can go down to
We
0.
can go down to 0 then. Yeah, they could.
We can
Sorry,
explain
guys.
the revenue, I think that's Teresa's point, is
Right.
can you explain the buckets? So we'll do the revenue
Okay.
buckets, and then they'll understand that
Yeah.
fund balance is already being applied.
So
I
then,
mean, it's complicated, because we live it day to day. You know, people come to a meeting and they're hearing for the first time, it's hard to digest it all.
Yeah.
It is a lot, there's no doubt about it. I think what we're trying to say is we've been accused of not planning for facilities maintenance, right? So you've been looking at different buckets. You've got the first bucket, which is your general fund, right? You got your general fund, which maintains your buildings, does repair, maintenance, and it puts some minor projects in it, doesn't put the big projects in it. Then you got bucket number 2, which you applied for a major construction project, right? So you're showing people, we're looking at the different funding sources to help us out. Then you got bucket number 3, which is the SRRF funds, remember the school revolving loan? You're gonna look at that to help support, because those are interest-free loans, right? And they match the 60-40 of what we get for the state and local. Then you got the 4th, which is a capital improvement. So you're trying to show, we're not just going for your taxes to help fund these. We're looking at ways to offset that, to help, to show that we're not just gonna throw a $500,000 in the budget and then get to the budget meeting and have them reduce it by 500. This is taking tax money and putting it where it needs to be, which is why you're using the fund balance. You're putting tax money already collected so that you're not raising taxes. You're using taxes for the things that they've been asking for, which is maintain your building.
and not leaving it as undesignated.
Right,
Where it
exactly.
can be used.
Correct.
I think that means, the fact that that money is from the previous year's budget, not going to be added into this is, I think they're gonna wanna hear that loud and clear.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll practice some slides on that, yeah. Okay.
Okay. Any further discussion before I call for the vote?
Can I
Okay.
just make a recommendation? When you're in each article, it may be helpful to also point out any funds that are received to cover portions of that.
Like
Like-
special ed, here's, I think that's true, 'cause here's the local entitlement funds that
Yeah, any
offset.
like grant funded positions, that
Yeah.
sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because there was, I heard something about us receiving funding for the, what survey just went out? I can't remember.
PBIS?
No.
Oh, no, BAR.
Bar, we
Yeah.
got bar money?
So BAR, yes, and now, that's an example of, right now, those funds are frozen, right? So they're anticipating they'll be reestablished. So that's approximately a $95,000. We pay about 15,000 of that 95 because it is grant funded, you're right. It's a
Okay.
DOE-supported program.
Bar is nine, is that?
I think it's around 95, right? Isn't that what Samantha, remember when we were going through that contract? What? 97.5. And right now, the middle school's been implementing fully on the grant. The high school has been a long-term BAR participant. And so it's been, a lot of theirs has been covered too through this grant, so I think we had about 15,000. But you're right, where BAR is, I can note that there's an offset grant for that, definitely. To show that there's other buckets.
Yeah.
Okay, no, that's good feedback.
Sorry to. It's halfway out of my mouth.
Good. It's just like PBIS, some of that's covered, that we've been using, the DOE supports a lot.
Bar is federal?
BAR, no, it's going through the DOE using federal stuff that they get,
I
they
see.
allocate it for things.
Gotcha.
Do you see what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
They contract, which helps us out, because it's more than one district, so they get a better deal. So,
Okay.
Try it again.
Dare I ask?
and no problem sending me emails from here to there. Like Teresa, if something comes up in Litchfield or whatever, any of you. Make sure you're clear on this point, as clear as you can be. We're gonna be working on the presentation, so.
I
Yes,
think
Doug?
when you're answering that, it made me, I think it would also, it's helpful to note that the money we're due to receive is not always on time, right? So, and that's why just as why it's good to have a bank account balance that's greater than like $5, is because sometimes we have to lean on our bank account balance to pay things because we don't get the money always in a timely manner, right?
Correct.
Reporting forward, I guess, as a side note, if we have something that's delayed for a lengthy time, it wouldn't hurt to bring that up for future meetings too. Because
Right.
I think everybody thinks it's where, the system's so good that it's like clockwork. It's not always apparent that we're due money, but waiting on money. Or I just think of the food budget. We went ahead of the food budget. Luckily, we have money to be able to pay the food budget so we don't skip a beat. But if we were cutting it so close that our, what do they call it, debt to revenue or whatever is right at there, we wouldn't be able to pay for food, so, but we can cover that while we wait for the money to kind of come in. I think that I want to say it out loud for not everybody that's paying attention to the budgeting, every detail, that not all the money comes in at the day that it was supposed to come in, right? Just to throw that in there.
No, that's a good point, Doug. We do talk about that in finance committee,
Yeah,
right? So that
exactly.
comes up a lot where we're waiting for reimbursements. So don't think of it as grant funds where you get it in the beginning of the year and you get to use how it.
Oh, exactly.
Right?
It's on
Think of it as a
it's
reimbursement, right?
Yeah,
Just paying off
perfect.
our credit card
Yep.
balance.
Right?
Yeah.
Or filing a claim with your HSA, getting a reimbursement for that medical bill,
Yeah.
right? Getting a
Right.
reimbursement. So before I ask, no, that's okay. Because I do want to also say, because this did come up at another special budget meeting, we do not have board comment on here. And that is because this is your time, right? So if you have any other comments, feedback, questions needed in order to fulfill the vote for this motion, now is your time to do it. So I'm not rushing you at all.
Is that because this is a budget meeting and not a regular meeting?
It's
Correct.
because it's a special budget meeting. So when you have a special meeting, there's only one topic. So there's really nothing else to talk about. Should be nothing else to talk about. Won't be anything else to talk about.
I just don't ever leave out public comment.
Never.
Thank you.
You got it.
Exactly.
But I also wanted to make sure that, like, in case you didn't take a peek, that there was, or didn't realize that there was no board comment section. That's why now is your time, so.
Well, in that case, thank you, Katie, for listening to us and for the administrator for listening to us last meeting. I think that, I mean, this is as best we can ask for, really, so, thank you.
Thank you.
And that's why I did remind you, did say that, because last time that's what you really wanted to do. The last time we didn't have one, so, yeah, thank you, everybody.
Appreciate that.
And I feel like we've all put forth our best good faith effort here. Everybody has been very cordial and asking really good questions, helping to figure this out, and, thank you.
Yeah.
To all of you,
Oh, yeah, it's all.
all of you, all of you.
Team effort.
All of you as well, everybody. And I think the ice machine is gone. Is that what I heard last week? The ice machine is gone?
Floor machine.
Or machine.
Oh, floor machine, okay. I
Floor
felt,
machine.
I
Floor
chuckled.
machine
You felt that,
costs more
yes.
than an ice machine.
I chuckled because I said that during the workshop. I was like, well, maybe the ice machine's gone. And then I thought Mark took the ice machine away and I was like, okay, it's not what I was implying.
Sometimes
but-
we're a low volume run kitchen, and some schools do require ice under bins to keep everything refrigerated, so we use a lot of it.
No, that's fine. I was listening in last week, so. All right. I'm going to call for the vote. All those in favor of approving $23,310,071. Unanimous. To bring forth to our public. 3.2. So, motion, I move that the vote entitled, "Vote to Call and Approve the Warrants for the Budget Meeting and the Budget Validation Referendum, and to authorize the notice of amounts adopted, be approved in form presented to this meeting, and that a copy of said vote be included with the minutes of this meeting."
You don't have to,
I'm not going to read the rest of the 4, 5, 6 paragraphs, however, that is what will be presented in that warrant. If you would like to take a moment to please read it yourself, I can give you that. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
So you have something to sign related to that after.
Seeing no discussion, I will call for the vote. All those in favor? It's unanimous. 3.3. The board approves the Libby Tozier building envelope and window sills replacement projects to be funded by the Capital Improvement Fund if Article 18 is approved at the public budget meeting on May 14, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, which we kind of tied it in, but if you have any further questions or discussion? Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, just give me a second. If anyone else wants to speak, go ahead. I do have something to say, but I need a moment.
Okay. Go ahead, Robbie.
So Katie, once we establish the fund, we have to have the voters vote on the amount we put in there every year, right?
Correct.
It's a regular article from then on.
Correct.
that the fund's been established, and whether we put 75,000 in it, or 130, but it has to be voted on at the town meeting. Okay.
And I would suggest if it does get approved, before every budget you develop, that you do this. Like,
Yeah.
you earmark.
Earmark where the funds are
And
gonna
then
be
people
going.
will know,
Yeah.
like, okay, you're being transparent about the
Right.
use of it.
So does this vote right now implement a capital improvement fund going forward?
No. It earmarks, if Article 18 goes, right? So Article 18 has to be approved.
Yes.
If it is approved, you all are saying it's going for the Libby Tozier project. That's why I have if in there. It's not will. It's if. It's all linked to Article 18.
And let's say it goes in this year, it can be, Article 18 can be removed.
You could put $0 in it.
But the article itself could be taken out in next year's budget.
The
Once
article,
it's in,
the article remains, it's just how much money you put
When
in.
does the article get put in?
When
Right
you-
now, right?
Right.
You already did that in the last one.
3.2.
Correct. 3.2, you put it in.
So we put Article 18 into the notice and warrant for the
Correct.
public meeting and the budget referendum.
Correct.
Article 18 is to put to the voters to establish the capital improvement fund, and to fund it with $150,000
So
from
it-
available fund balances.
It's like that other article you have that is always in there with 0 in it. It'd be the same thing.
So, I guess my question is there a method, or if so, what does it take to permanently remove an article from?
You'd have to put the
I'm
article,
not
Repeal
from-
the capital improvement fund?
I'm sorry, say that again?
You want to repeal the capital improvement
Yes.
fund?
Not at this
So that it no
moment,
longer exists?
not at this moment, but if in the future.
Another
In the
time, yes.
future,
Yeah,
You'd have to have an article asking to
Exactly.
repeal.
Ask them to vote for it.
disestablish,
To
Right.
dissolve it or repeal
so
it.
there is a process to do it.
Repeal it.
oh yeah,
Okay.
At the public budget meeting.
correct.
Right,
It would be the same
Yeah.
process, just in reverse.
Right.
Like Article 18, to repeal you know what I mean? And then if you, yes, there would be, you could make a motion.
Where in 3.2 does it say we just approved the capital
Because it's your
improvement?
warrant, it's part of your articles.
What-
So go to, it's like, I know it's confusing, Scott. It's like the article for the food service, the article for adult ed. Those are all articles in the warrant. So this is Article 18, so if you go to can you go to slide 6, John? So it's one of your articles. So we don't list every single, you're calling the articles which we have gone through. Article 18 is included that. Like we don't as a board go, do you approve Article 1? Do you approve Article 2? That's those cost centers, right? All the cost centers, you just approved all those
Well, I'd like
costs.
to change my vote on 3.2 to a no vote then, please.
No, you
Yeah,
can't do
I
that. You
mean,
have to make a
should we
motion.
maybe
You
should
have to
have,
make a motion to go back.
we maybe should have separated that article out
It is,
in the,
But-
well, I mean, to vote specifically to include that article instead of just assuming to include it from the last meeting. It seemed like people would want to vote independently on the inclusion of Article 18 as opposed to voting on the amount of Article 18.
You didn't vote on the amount.
You didn't vote on the amount.
Well, that's what 3.3 is. That's been.
No, it's
No,
not.
that's
No.
not.
That's
It's
earmarking
allocating
it for a
For
certain
what? I'm sorry,
project.
Not the amount, then the what.
Yeah, I don't think this was clear at all.
Yeah, the impression I'm getting.
If you read through this, nowhere in here does it say an addition of it. I mean, I feel like that's a pretty big deal, but
Well, it was Article 18.
So do you not agree with presenting Article 18 to the public to ask them if they want to establish the fund?
I would rather they vote to establish the capital improvement plan with the money in it, but that's,
This is how it reads.
yeah. Yeah, I didn't, when you asked us to read through this, I didn't see, because that is not here.
Explain that a little bit more for me, Scott. What exactly would you prefer us to present as it pertains to the capital improvement fund?
I almost prefer you didn't even present it as capital improvement fund. I would rather you present them with the option to take fund balance money of $150,000 and use it for XYZ project of, Libby Tozer building envelope and windows sills replacement project. But
So you think that the
I think we're
public,
going down a slippery slope when we're now putting in place a capital improvement fund that's obviously
we didn't.
not as easy to remove if we can. Yes, we did.
No,
We just voted on that.
We put in the article for the public to
Correct.
vote to
And that
establish.
article is going to remain in place year after year after year until we take the proper steps to have it removed, if we ever do that.
But you don't have to put any
We
money
don't
in
have to
it,
put any money in
Scott.
it.
I understand that, it's still there.
A lot of school districts
I
have
don't
that.
care, we're not every school
Our
district.
towns have that.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't care.
So
Yes.
what you're saying is put 150,000 more in the budget, that's gonna cost taxpayers more. We're using the money that we
Hold
already
on,
have.
hold on.
Like you can't do that already because you
Hold
can,
on.
because we've utilized,
Oh,
we've
yeah,
utilized
yeah,
extra
yeah.
funds in the past to purchase things,
Hold
to
on.
buy things, to pay for things. We just said it's an emergency fund, we utilize it if we have to, and it's
Okay.
expended upon.
Scott, I need 1 minute, please. Okay. Let's chill for a minute. Everybody. I want to understand what you're trying to get, what you want to see.
Doesn't matter.
It does.
It doesn't. It doesn't matter.
It does to me.
It doesn't matter what I want, it's what the people want.
It is what the people want, exactly. So are you thinking that in addition to presenting, because they could say no to establishing this?
They can't say no to having a capital improvement fund. They can only say yes or no to the amount.
No,
No.
no, Scott.
No,
Scott.
this is
Right.
authorizing to establish.
Because we just voted on 3.2 to
Scott.
put that in place.
No, we voted to put it in the article to present to them.
Scott, remember, you know how I stand up there? All right, just time out for a minute. Listen to what I'm saying. I know this is hard. All the cost centers are an article, right? You did not approve every one of those cost centers, right? Regular instructions, Article 1. Special ed, Article 2. Career and technical, Article 3, right? That's, you did the bottom line on that. And then at the May 14th, those articles come up and the public has a right to lower them, right? Okay. Just like they're gonna get to Article 12 and agree on the
Article
total. Right, so, thank you. So when they get to Article 18, they can vote against Article 18.
Which we just voted to establish in Article 8.
No, you didn't. Yes, you did. Yeah, you did.
Can I
But
ju-
not just the amount.
Can I jump in?
Yes, go ahead.
Basically, what I seem to be understanding here is, so you look at Article 18, the article itself is a bullet point. So we've just created the space
Correct.
to, if the voters at the meeting choose to establish a capital reserve fund, that will go into the space of Article 18.
Correct.
It is not, as of right now, Article 18 is just the blank space waiting for a purpose.
Waiting for a dollar amount and a purpose. Correct.
But we can't, I don't think we can put a dollar amount to it until it has its purpose first.
Right, but what I'm saying is that in our previous vote on 3.2, we just voted to implement add Article 18 in with all the other articles.
Correct.
And that was not made clear in our motion on our agenda for 3.2.
I agree. That's why I asked the question in 3.1 and about at what point in this process.
I'm sorry, I
And I
don't
said it was
see any
3.2.
verbiage in 3.2 that says we're,
This is the warrant to call. I hear the confusion.
thank you.
I do. I absolutely do. And it's, the 3.1, you're right, is over here, expenditures. 3.2 is the warrant to call, which we've been saying all along, and I think we've been transparent, it's Article 18. What I think we didn't make is Article 18 will be part of all the articles that go to the public, right? So the public can vote against this article, just like they can vote the other ones down. It's just, it's an additional article.
I understand that. So my interpretation originally was we would be at the public budget meeting offering an addition of Article 18 with a dollar amount and a purpose.
Did you read Article 18, how it is written? Because it says.
I have not read it yet, but I don't need to read it. I know what it is.
It establishes
It says,
and
shall the
authorizes.
board, shall the school board be authorized to establish?
Do we need to motion to revisit?
Yeah, but that's for the whole in its entirety, fund for the purpose of maintaining school facilities and acquiring capital equipment. But that article is gonna be there year after year after year until we go through the steps in the process to have it removed, if we even want to do that.
Which is
It
why
would take
Katie said-
a board majority to remove it at this point.
Before we go to do the budget meeting, we should be doing what we're doing with 3.3 so that any funds,
So you're
They are
saying
already
next year, we're
earmarked.
gonna also have a 3.2 to approve the articles, and at that point in time, we can choose to remove Article 18, because that's not what it sounds like.
May I clarify?
Mm-hmm.
So if Article 18 fails on the floor this year, then the voters are saying we are not authorized to establish, so the fund doesn't exist. Which means if this board and the administration next year wants to say, we want to try that again, we want to bring that forward again, then you would have to come back and say, add Article 18 again. So it wouldn't automatically be there because you've put it there this year. So if the voters on the floor said, no capital improvement fund, and it fails, then it's done for the year. In the process next year, if you chose to as a board, and the administration chose to recommend that, you could try again, but you would not be required to put Article 18 out next year for the budget season just because you have it on the warrant to call this year.
if it fails.
So I think what's hard is we're not on consensus on this, okay, right? I would.
Well, I think that by majority you are.
Correct. That's what, remember when I said to you, you said, why didn't you bring the other one too? And I openly said, I was transparent. The majority of the board was supporting this. And they were supporting that the voters get to decide it. The voters can't decide it if it's not here. So you're deciding what the voters get to decide. If you pull it out, right now, if you pull it out, then they don't get to decide. So what I heard last time is, I might not agree with it wholeheartedly, but I'm willing to have the public weigh in on it. If they approve it, they approve it. If they don't, they don't. And then you're going back again to say, how are we going to do some of these projects? So I totally agree that not everybody is on board. So you have to decide, do you have a majority and you go forward knowing you have the majority, but you don't have unanimous? And if you want to make a motion to go back to that one, I think you have to have a majority to go back.
It has to be
Major.
made by somebody that
Yeah.
voted in the affirmative, which we all did. Anybody can make that
Right,
motion to
Yeah.
reconsider.
right.
And then 2/3.
Can
I was
I,
gonna say, I thought it would be 2/3.
Two-thirds.
Go ahead.
can I suggest, if we put it in the public's, that we just add verbiage that says, if Article 8, for 3.3, if Article 18 is voted to $0 by the public, Article 18 will be removed from the warrant.
It's, my understanding is that this is two separate items. One is shall authorize a capital reserve fund. The second portion is how much?
There's 3,
Okay, there's three.
okay? Authorized to establish, to transfer 150,000 from available fund balances, and to expend in the discretion of the school board during the upcoming fiscal year. So this one article is doing all those 3 actions.
Okay, can you explain the third part of that to me?
And to expend from the capital reserve fund in the discretion of the school board during the upcoming fiscal year. So what that third piece is, so the first piece is, we want to establish this capital improvement fund.
Yep.
We also wanna transfer $150,000 from our available funds to fund that fund. Then we are also gonna take that money and spend it how we choose. How we choose is being proactively addressed in 3.3 so that the public knows that it is specifically for at least this year, specifically for Libby Tozier envelope windowsills replacement.
And that's binding, right? We can't spend that on anything else.
Well, you voted to do it,
Right.
right.
You'd have to
Motion to reconsider.
You'd have to have an agenda item, you have to request agenda item, we have to have a motion, or a motion on the floor. We'd have to take a vote to repeal that, dissolve that, whatever the proper word is.
Can you expand upon the first part in that case? Because I want to be crystal clear on that. I mean, I know what I just heard from Samantha, but I just need to be crystal clear on that shall the school board be authorized to establish a capital reserve fund? So the vote is going to authorize the establishment of a capital reserve fund. And that is not what we just did in 3.2.
Correct.
Correct. So Scott, the following year,
Why did you just
This
tell me we
line-
did that in 3.2?
What you did in 3.2 was include this article in the
Article 18.
warrant.
So 18 is the space, the article.
yes.
The fund is the cost center going into that article, right?
It's gonna have its own fund.
There's
Could you
no,
repeat what you just said?
excuse me,
Nicole, please.
yes. On item 3.2,
Yes.
we only approved
Mhm.
the inclusion of Article 18 in the warrant to present to the public at the budget meeting on May 14th.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So the following year, Scott, this first part will be gone. This first part, the following year.
approved.
If approved.
If approved.
Correct.
If approved, this would go away and it would start with to transfer up to whatever that amount is, 0, a million, whatever. Okay, so this section. So so I think what I'm hearing you say is on May 14th, if they put 0 here, it's still there. If they have to vote it down, not to have it at all.
Okay.
Correct. They'd have to vote no,
Regardless if it's 0 or whatever it is.
but if they vote, if they motion, I mean, you never
They
know what
vote yes
happens.
for 0,
If they
then
motion to
establish.
amend,
No, I follow you,
Right.
and I appreciate the
Yeah,
explanation.
yeah.
Because this actually is putting in the hands of the public the choice
Correct.
to have the capital improvement fund,
Exactly.
yes.
which I
Yes.
believe is above me, and I think that that's a good thing.
Yes, okay.
So now, next year, does the expenditure potentially go away, and you can just simply go with the second piece of that?
Correct. You would just go with
Yeah, so,
these two and you put 0 there.
which, and I think that's where your concern is, right, because of the
Right.
year after year.
Certainly.
I mean,
Right, exactly.
I don't know if this is common, but can you only do an establishment of the fund for a fiscal year? I don't know that you would want to, but, I mean, we could talk about that if you wanna put that into the warrant, but what you would then do is why Katie was saying, and obviously, we all have to be here next year, right? Cause it could change depending on who's here and who's there and who's there. But what we would do, what we should do, what we should plan on doing, do a 3.3. So before we go to the budget floor with the voters at the public hearing, say, okay, our plan would be for this capital improvement fund, reserve fund, I think we should start calling it, if that's the true name, capital reserve fund. We want this amount of dollars for this purpose. Or not necessarily dollars, because that's a miracle. That would be the only safeguard going forward.
And I think we would do that.
Correct.
Will the board 10 years from now do that?
Well, we don't know,
But they can change it on the floor at their budget meeting. They can change the amount.
But the capital reserve fund is solely governed by the board
Correct,
and voters.
correct.
Undesignated funds is not.
Well,
So
if
you-
you're designating it, it is.
Yes.
But what you're saying is the funds this year that we have to expend, we look at as we go through the year.
Right, but if
because
they
you're
remain in undesignated, you would be able to do with it what you want in undesignated.
No, we cannot touch
You
undesignated funds.
can't, you have to get approval
I
to
can't
expend it.
touch
Okay,
undesignated
so-
funds.
Yeah, you have to get approval to expend it.
Correct,
Right.
yes, we don't
And the
know.
towns have to do that too, to their,
So then either way, you have to get approval. So then-
Exactly,
Right.
yes, that would be true.
So then why are we spending all this time on this? If that's the case.
Well, I think
Right.
the concern, I don't really know, I mean, I think I understand, but if you say $0 there.
But if, either way, right,
We
whether
have,
it's
we're designated,
undesignated.
okay, we have
Yeah.
undesignated funds in this bucket.
Yeah,
This is to take those and designate them.
Yep.
Like us saying we're using fund balance to balance the budget.
Yep.
You've designated that as a board. But Sam and I can't say, we want to build a palace and we're gonna take $500,000. Can't touch it. What I think Scott has brought up is at the end of the year, we do have funds before it goes into unfund balance to do things that we have needs for,
Within the cost.
like the floor. The
right,
floor.
so we don't have to expend that money next year.
Correct, and add it to the
And add it
budget.
to the budget.
Correct, there you go.
so I don't think it matters either way then,
Mhm.
whether you have this up fund or not. Go ahead, Matt.
Um,
I thought that's where Scott was trying to go with it.
Isn't there an allowance of 5% from,
Cost center to cost center,
Cost center to cost
It
center.
has to go from cost center to cost center.
without approval.
Like, if we need $30,000 from special ed, and we have unfunded, positions that we didn't expend on, we can take that 30,000 out of the cost
Another
center
cost
one,
center, right.
another cost center, but we can't take it out of undesignated fund balance.
okay, can you take 5% from one fund
Yes,
and 5% from another
Yes.
fund and 5%
Yes.
from another fund?
and we've done that in the past.
Is there any limitation on the maximum amount of dollars that can be?
No, it's 5%. You can only take 5% from each, and it just so happens that, because cost center one is the largest fund. So if you got extra, most of the time it's there, because you've got positions you didn't fill, or, or the special ed came in less than what we thought we were going to, and we have to put money into, maintenance, or, transportation, or stuff like that.
So, sorry, I got a couple different answers. There is a cap on the dollars that can be
Transferred. yes.
Transfer, yeah.
There
reallocated,
is.
transferred.
Being on the finance and facilities
Yeah.
committee, the other cap is that it's only if there's extra money in these
Right.
other cost
I
centers,
understand
which
that.
you're
Right.
usually pretty tight. It's
Yeah.
most of it is if you didn't fill a position, freeze up
Yeah,
that
so-
money. So you're kind of limited. If your budget, the tighter it is, the less
I,
flex.
I'm,
So Samantha can tell, Samantha, what's our cap on how much you can remove, you can transfer from one cost center to another?
or multiple cost centers to one.
Right, I mean, it's percent basis in the
Right,
statute.
exactly.
So it depends on the total amount of each cost center.
Right.
And that's different for every year and every school district, so. You
So,
want me to calculate that right now?
no.
No,
I'm not,
no,
I'm not, no.
no.
I was just curious if there was a cap in place already on
Yes.
that, aside from the 5% of each individual.
Yeah, more than 5%, you have to go back to the voters for approval.
Okay, so I'm glad this is going to the public to be voted on whether to establish it or not to establish it. I like that the board, if established, the board has the say in how it is spent, and that is going to be made transparent to the public. Being on the finance committee, I was going to recommend that we look at that 5% reallocation transfer, and looking at putting a cap on that. To which point, you reach that point, then it needs to be taken to the full board for approval as well, so,
Yeah, because at your last June meeting is when you talk about what needs to be
Yeah.
transferred.
yeah.
Like if one of the cost centers running in the red, then the finance facility, Samantha says, in order to cover the cost center in red, we're gonna transfer this here, and you guys approve it.
Isn't it an article? I know, Scott, go ahead. You wanna say something,
So does
Scott?
that mean that we get a really good deal on windows? There's actually, we didn't spend the $150,000 that we could move up to 5% someplace else from this Article 18 to someplace else?
No.
No, what happens if we?
It
what
rolls.
happens? It rolls, it stays in the capital improvement.
Correct.
Yes. Yeah. But in order to spend funds,
So, okay, so then if every year you're saving a little bit of money on what you're spending and that just grows and grows and grows and the board has the ability to spend it, like next year the public can't really vote 0 on it because there's money in there.
Correct.
They could
They could vote not to put any money in it.
put anything
Sure.
in additional,
Sure.
but there's,
Sure.
let's say there's 25 grand left over, it's still in.
And not allow
It's
us
in
to
there.
expend it.
Now does it, yeah,
So they can't vote to take that 25 and.
No, it would sit there, and that's why it's good for them to know what you're gonna spend it on, right? Because if they voted, all right, next year, if you had 25,000 sitting in it, right, and they say, we're not letting you spend that money, you can't spend the money, it sits there.
and it can be used to reduce taxes, so.
Like I
Because
said,
you've got
that's
some
why-
you got some big projects that it could be savings towards.
It's why I'm glad that it's being voted on by, you know.
Yeah, the public can, they can decide, yeah.
And in terms of accounting, this article will be its own cost center, so we
Yeah.
will see the expenditures and the
Yes.
balance, similar to how we see in
Correct.
other cost centers?
Yes.
Okay.
It'll have its own account code.
Question, could we use, if there is money extra in there and we see a need for something during the year,
Right.
can that money be used, or do we have to wait for the end of the year?
No, you could use it, because
As
you
long
have
as-
the authority.
Okay,
Like they'll, I think your point was it, Scott, is if there was 25,000 because of the thing, it would come here. Because you have the approval by the public to expend it. You as a board would decide, okay, we have 25,000, oh my gosh, we have a broken, whatever it is. But the board would have to approve it. We couldn't just go out and use it.
How's that any different than administration just simply taking extra funds at the end of the year and expending it?
Well, this is your reserve fund. You,
So it's the board's decision on this one instead of, yeah.
mhm.
I'd like to make a motion, in light of new information, I would like to have a revote on 3.2.
So I have a motion on the floor, I'm gonna need to have that withdrawn first, I think, potentially.
Are you talking about
Right, to go backwards, right?
3.3?
Yes, I do have that motion on
Well, we
the
could finish
floor. You wanna
3.3 if you'd like, and then I'll just remake my motion after that's complete.
so you're on the vote for the 3.3.
Yeah, we still have that motion to vote on the 3.3 on the floor, so. So this is, if Article 18 is approved, those funds would be for the Libby Tozier envelope, building envelope and windowsill replacement. Any further discussion on that? Okay,
at the public vote, is the public gonna know what this is money's for? Okay,
There'll be a whole slide on Article 18.
perfect.
yes, we will inform them that the intent is to, fix Libby Tozier. All those in favor? All those opposed? It passes.
So I'd like to make a motion that we do a recount of the vote for motion 3.2 due to the additional information that we gathered tonight.
Motion to reconsider.
Motion to reconsider.
Second.
Okay, Discussion?
So we're making the motion first and then we'll read it.
This is the motion to
It has to be
reconsider.
2/3, so Sam has got the
Right.
calculator.
Motion to reconsider 3.2?
Yeah, motion to reconsider and revoke 3.2. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
To do the revote. We have to vote to
We have to-
revote. So,
yeah.
you know what I mean, you're in favor, yeah.
The vote
Thank you.
to revoke.
Yeah, we have to approve the vote to revote.
To reconsider the motion.
Yes, exactly.
Because the motion's been closed.
You good, Sam? In favor?
It's all about, yeah, okay.
All those opposed?
Passes 632 to 246.
Motion passes. So we will go back to 3.2. I move that the vote entitled, "Vote to Call and Approve the Warrants for the Budget Meeting and the Budget Validation Referendum and to Authorize the Notice of Amounts Adopted," be approved in form presented to this meeting, and that a copy of said vote be included with the minutes of this meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
I think it could have been clearer in this, that Article 18, and what the purpose of voting on it here was.
Yeah, this could have been passed out sooner, so I
Yeah.
apologize for that, definitely.
You know, I've never been in this position before. I mean, with it not being in there, is it votable?
So I believe this is statutory language.
You can make a motion to approve without the addition of the Article 18.
Correct, that's what you would have to do.
Right, but, right, this is what we have. I think you should have had this, is what Katie is saying.
Yep.
But
But I
putting
mean-
it in here, I don't believe that that's,
From the
So-
feedback at last meeting, there was support for Article 18.
I understand, what I'm saying is that the language specifically to creating Article 18 is not in the description under 3.2,
Correct.
and that's okay.
Yes,
Yes.
because none of it is. This is the warrant to call. These are all your articles, and Article 18 is included in it.
Okay.
Yep,
Okay.
okay?
I have a question. If it wasn't in there,
Correct.
how would the public know when we go to the,
Well, it's all gonna be in the budget booklet.
but if it wasn't as an article?
If it's not an article, you can't vote on it. It's an article,
yeah.
correct.
So can I make a suggestion for next year that when this agenda goes out, a copy of the warrant is included, that what we're voting on, that way we can
Sure.
review it ahead of time?
Marco, write that down.
Duly noted.
Thank you.
Sorry, that's why my question from way earlier during 3.1 was, I was trying to figure out where Article 18 was being created, because reading this, I could not find where it said we were moving from having no Article 18 to having an Article 18,
Correct.
until you get to 3.3 where it says the capital improvement fund.
And I assume, and it's because I live it every day, I assume because I've been saying Article 18, everybody understood. It's like, that's why I try to say, we talk cost centers, but they're articles when people come for voting. So Article 1, Article 2, Article 3, Article 4, those are all, when we talked about food service, that's a whole nother article. Adult ed is another article. And you know, adult ed, food service, and Article 18 isn't part of the referendum vote. Only the first articles on your expenditures are what the voters vote. Because I think people get confused with that too. So, yes, it'll be similar to the other articles. So I get the confusion, definitely.
Go ahead, Teresa.
I appreciate the board taking the time to share their concerns and clarify things for transparency purposes especially. So I'm glad we're having this conversation. It's more of a comment.
Anybody else? Okay, so I'm gonna call for the vote on 3.2 with the 18 articles attached. All those in favor? All those opposed? It passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
You need those packets back, right? So if you sign them.
So,
You only have to, yeah, you have to sign these.
So do they want to come?
Samantha will do, well, you want to adjourn and then
Yeah.
go over the signing.
yep, so we have our future meetings, right? April 30th, our regular board meeting at 6:30 PM, back to our 6:30 PM. And our May 14th, public budget meeting, 6:30 PM at Oak Hill High School. And without objection, I call the meeting adjourned. Thank you.
And Samantha's coming to tell you what needs to be signed.
And we need your signatures.
Oh, yeah, here.
So you can put them back in the packet.
Here, keep that. I took the wrong thing.
Thank you.
Fix that.